All right, I'm out here with the rescue wagon, and for those of you who don't know what the rescue wagon is, it is our 5x8 cargo trailer that we ordered with AC on. We've got it set up as a camper to pull behind our Jeep because Jeeps don't have a good towing capacity. And today what I'm doing is I'm putting an additional gas can mount on. This one has been on here for a while, and what I did is I mounted the bottom, I screwed into the bottom plate, but then for the next section up, I had to use aluminum bars to go into the studs so that it would support it in the middle. So now I'm going to put on another gas can holder up far enough that I can get this other one out so that we'll have enough gas to run the generator, which we've recently mounted up front, and so that we can run the generator when we go to places like the Outer Banks or if we're doing rustic camping. Okay, so the first thing we need to do before we put this new mount on is to make sure about where it needs to be so that we can still get the other one out. And just under this set of screws seems to be the good place. It's still low enough, but you can still get the other can out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some different measurements. If you try to measure off of the camper or try to get things level based on ground, it doesn't work. Nothing on these cargo trailers is really straight. So what you have to do is kind of get a general measurement, and then you have to eyeball it to make sure it looks straight with everything else, because you really can't get a good sense of leveling. So what we'll do is I'm going to remove this gas can, and then I'm going to measure up from the very bottom of the trailer and see if I can get a line that looks like it's level. And then I'm going to place the piece across, get an eyeball from back, and make sure if it looks correct. If it looks correct, we'll go for it. We took a measurement 34 inches up to the top of this plate on both sides. Stacy stepped back to look at it. It didn't look quite straight. We had to do a little bit of adjustment on this side. She held it, I came back and looked, it looked good. So we put a pencil mark across here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some butyl tape, which I call the roll of goo. I'm going to put it as a backing on this, and then I'm going to use self-tapping screws to go into the studs to hold this piece on. So that's going to be our next step. I'm using a 1-inch hex head number 10 self-tapping screw, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill into the stud. Do the same thing on this side, make sure I'm still straight on my line. I'm going to measure the distance between these holes so that I can then center the next piece down here for tapping in the same way. So I'm going to measure that. I'm going to do center to center, which is 4 7/8. So from center to center, I need it to be 4 7/8. Okay, so if I measure down 3 1/4 inches just from the bottom of that to the top of my next piece, which is going to be right on the edge of this. Get it over here, right touching that screw almost. That will put me about center to center, about 4 7/8 where I need to be. It's not perfectly exact, but it's pretty close. We are going to repeat the process using a number 10 1-inch self-tapping screw. One of the things with the gas can holders is they have this little lip. It's just a hook that hooks into the top here. And the problem with that is it can be loose, and even if you lock it, somebody can just pop it right off. So what I did on the last one is I took some pliers and just bent it over so it's looped around this. I'm going to do the same thing. Put some tape around the end of the pliers to hopefully keep from scarring up the paint too much. But we're going to hook that in, and then I'm going to try to bend it over some to keep it from being able to be easily stolen. Let's face it, gas is pretty expensive right now, so. One of the differences between the new gas can holder and the old one is the panels that were welded on the old one. These are screwed on. I don't like that because I would like it to be sturdier. I ordered the exact same one. I ordered it again, so obviously the manufacturer just changed the way it's done. But one of the benefits to this is now I can take these front pieces off when I go to screw it in, so I'm not having to kind of go from an angle or use my stubby to get in there. So it's definitely going to be a little easier screwing it in. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm going to secure this with a self-tapping sheet metal screw. Alright, now this other side, I need to make sure I am as even as I can be. That looks pretty close. All right, well that turned out pretty good. Now I can have two cans on the back here and help me offset a little bit of the tongue weight with the generator, but worked out pretty good. I actually like this second one I bought better. It doesn't have this weird bracket on the top. I've got to put the front brackets on now and screw these in, but it's allowing me to be free. We've got the gas can back on, and I'm going to put these front panels back on. I actually like the way that this worked a little better than the other one, because it really did allow me to get in there and screw things in quite easily, where I had to kind of do it at an angle before. But once I get these tightened up, everything's looking good. Gives me the gas for the generator, and of course it just allows me to be free.